Hello, and welcome to the Storied Human. Today is a shorter solo that I'm doing on a subject super close to my heart. Lots of you have heard me in different little interviews, or maybe not lots of you, but I do bring up nature and getting out in nature a lot. I bring it up because I think it's so important, and I know it's made me feel better in my life. But the really fun thing that I'm seeing now, because I did some research, is it's science-backed. They've done studies that actually say, with a lot of surety, that being in nature helps you in many ways, physically and mentally. So that's what I'd like to spend a little time today talking about. The first place that I found some really good info was the American Heart Association, and they're like all in on it. And they talk about keeping outside in mind for less stress. Spending time in nature can help relieve stress and anxiety, improve your mood, and boost feelings of happiness and well-being. Whatever you call it, forest bathing, ecotherapy, mindfulness in nature, green time, or the wilderness cure, humans evolved in the great outdoors, and your brain benefits from a journey back to nature. So that's cool. I really liked hearing that. And then they recommend it for your mental health. They start out with that description about how it can help you mentally. It says, have you been feeling down lately? A little sluggish, stressed out, or maybe wondering what's life all about? Here's another question. How much time have you spent in nature lately? The answer to these two questions might be more closely related than you would think. The modern way we live has changed radically from life in the savannah, but our brains have mostly stayed the same. So we need the same things. We still have a deep connection with nature, and research shows that if we don't nourish that bond, despite our technological advancements, we may suffer in many ways. If you're able to, get back to nature to energize your mind and body. If you're depressed, if you're feeling blue, try going outside to green natural spaces. A stroll in the woods has been shown to help combat depression, and even just the view of the forest from a hospital room helps patients who are feeling down. Head for the hills if you need a boost to your mood. From E360 at Yale University, these studies have shown that time in nature, as long as people feel safe, is an antidote for stress. It can lower blood pressure and stress hormone levels, reduce nervous system arousal, enhance immune system function, increase self-esteem, reduce anxiety, and improve mood, attention deficit disorder, and aggression lessen in natural environments, which also helps speed the rate of healing. In a recent study, psychiatric unit researchers found that being in nature reduced feelings of isolation, promoted calm, and lifted mood among patients. I know there was a program, I think it was the turn of the century, like the late 1800s, where mental health patients tended gardens they were sent to, if they had to go to a facility, a hospital, they would live there, but they would also work the gardens and get their sunshine and get their hours outside. I don't know why that went away. I do remember reading something that some official was touring the hospital and said, why are you treating those people like slaves? But that's ridiculous, because I think they were on to something, and it was part of like a movement sort of out of Germany where people were more holistic. And I hope they bring that back. I hope we see that more now that they've done these studies. So the growing body of research, combined with an intuitive understanding that nature is vital and increased concerns about the exploding use of smartphones and other forms of technology, has led to a tipping point at which health experts, researchers, and government officials are now proposing widespread changes aimed at bringing nature into people's everyday lives. And it doesn't have to be going out into the wild, nature, or spending lots of time inside the woods. These studies say that even time spent in an urban park near the trees, even looking out at the trees, can help you. So if you're stressed, nature presents scenes that gently capture your attention instead of suddenly snatching it, calming your nerves instead of frazzling them. If you're anxious, You probably know that exercise is good for your state of mind. But did you know that working out in nature helps to reduce anxiety, among other benefits, even more than going to an indoor gym? Consider hitting some trails to get the best mental bang for your buck. And I just want to put in a word here that some of us are particularly soothed by water. And over my life, I've realized that that's really the key, is like to get myself into water. Really calms me down. Everybody's different, you know. If you feel self-involved, if you dwell on your problems and just can't stop, a walk through a meadow might put the brakes on the thought trains circling through your head. Research shows that a 90-minute walk in nature lowers activity in the part of the brain linked to negative rumination. 90 minutes sounds like a lot, but any would help. The important thing is to get out of the house. If you're fatigued, are you constantly multitasking at work as you switch between customers and phone calls or click from spreadsheets to presentations? Even at home, you might face a combination of kids, chores, and devices vying for your attention. Your prefrontal cortex can only take so much distraction before it needs a recharge. Luckily, time in nature has been shown to restore mental abilities like short-term memory and processing 3D images based on drawings. If you're feeling uninspired, changing the scenery is a great way to get the creative juices flowing, and nature offers stimuli that you won't find while staring at a screen. In one example, spending 4 days in nature improved problem-solving skills by 50%. If you haven't found a way to tackle that next big project at work, or an obstacle that's impeding your personal goals, try noodling on it in the great outdoors. If you're feeling antisocial, time in nature can help with your personal relationships too. Natural beauty results in more pro-social behaviors like generosity and empathy. If you're feeling disconnected, one of the most basic human needs is to feel that you belong and you're part of a larger tribe. But studies show that this concept goes beyond human relationships alone. Time in nature results in a sense of belonging to the wider world that is vital for mental health. I read one quotation that said, "You are not on the earth, you are the earth. We are nature. We're an integral part of it. And if we're disconnected, we start to feel funny. We need to remember that we're connected and to feel that healing." Angsty. If you're feeling angsty, at times you might feel lost and begin to wonder what life is all about. A dose of awe might remind you just how wondrous the world is. Nature provides trees that were hundreds of years old before you were even born, towering mountains that touch the clouds, and a sky full of uncountable stars. When it comes to awe-inspiring awesomeness, nature leaves our jaws dropping and spines tingling, and rekindles the realization that we're a tiny part of an incredible universe. What's more powerful than that? So do consider seeing a mental health professional if your symptoms are serious. But if you're feeling a tinge of any of the blues I just listed, try something like adding a daily walk on a local hiking trail to your regimen, or go on a bike ride around your neighborhood. Now, from Yale University, understanding nature's therapeutic effects may be arriving at a propitious moment. Some studies have found that anxiety over climate change is a growing phenomenon. Ironically, one of the best antidotes for that may be a dose of green space. "If I'm feeling depressed and anxious and worried about the environment," Warburg said, "then one of the best things I can do is go out in nature." So it's even good for that. Worrying about losing nature, but going out into nature makes you feel better. Now, what about your physical health? I want to tell you a little bit more about the physical because I was sort of fascinated. I mean, I knew it made me feel better emotionally, but being in nature literally lowers your blood pressure, lowers your cortisol. It really helps your physical health. And here's how it does it. Researchers have linked exposure to the outdoors with lower risk of cardiovascular disease, obesity, diabetes, and asthma hospitalizations. Scientists are still figuring out which mechanisms are responsible for these positive results. But it's possible that they have something to do with enhanced immune function and vitamin D production that are also associated with time spent outdoors. See, we are creatures meant to have sunshine and fresh air, and hundreds of years ago, people knew that. Like, that's what governesses were always saying to their little British children, like, get outside, get the fresh air, get the sunshine. They just knew that, similar to plants, that we needed that. In patients recovering from surgery, nature has even been shown to have a positive effect on pain management and recovery. At the University of Minnesota, they have information about how nature impacts our well-being. Research done in hospitals, offices, and schools have found that even a simple plant in a room can have a significant impact on stress and anxiety. Just like they've recently improved food, the quality of food in hospitals, because it's so important to have good, high-quality, nutritious food when you're trying to get better. In the same way, they're starting to introduce things like adding plants and beautiful spaces with green walkways and windows that open out onto beautiful views of nature and trees. All these things help you heal faster. So spending time outside is really, really good for your brain. Exposure to nature has been proven to lead to better cognitive function in a number of studies. It's also been shown to decrease stress and boost happiness, both of which are crucial for maintaining mental health and fighting depression and anxiety. One study showed a significantly lower risk of psychiatric disorders, such as depression, mood disorders, and schizophrenia, in children who grew up with more access to nature, which I find fascinating, because that's sort of how a bunch of us who are older remember growing up. We went outside, or ran around like maniacs, and didn't come home till dinner. And there was lots of dirt and sunshine and fresh air involved. And I think it really was a healthier way to live. Many outdoor activities require physical activity, which is essential for maintaining a healthy lifestyle. Even low-intensity exercise like walking is a great way to burn calories and improve sleep quality. Nature also provides ideal opportunities to socialize with friends and connect with your community, which are hugely beneficial for your well-being. The University of Minnesota further tells us nature heals. So how much time in nature is enough? According to one study in 2019, spending 2 hours a week in nature is correlated with significant increases in health and well-being. Divided up, that comes out to just under half an hour each day for a 5-day week, or 17 and a half minutes a day spread over 7 days. It didn't matter how participants divided it up. The beneficial amount of 2 hours a week was what mattered. So you could take an hour walk one day and do 4 15-minute walks during the week, and it will help. However, while 2 hours is the magic number at which benefits of spending time outside seem to peak, it's not an all or nothing equation. In many studies, even indirect exposure to nature, such as being near a window that had a view of trees, was shown to have a positive impact. So if 2 hours isn't realistic for your schedule, even working towards smaller doses may still be worth the effect. I think the main point here is that this is a public health issue, and that we really can help our health by including exposure to nature in some way in our life, adding that to our lifestyle, making sure we're getting that outside time, because so many of us are inside. I mean, I work at home. I sometimes spend an entire day inside. So now I force myself to walk outside, to breathe the air, put my face in the sun. It's just really important to have those breaks and be out in nature. Nature soothes. In addition, nature helps us cope with pain. Because we are genetically programmed to find trees, plants, water, and other nature elements engrossing, we are absorbed by nature scenes and distracted from our pain and discomfort. This is nicely demonstrated in a now classic study of patients who underwent gallbladder surgery. Half had a view of trees and half had a view of a wall. According to the physician who conducted the study, Robert Ulrich, the patients with the view of trees tolerated pain better, appeared to nurses to have fewer negative effects, and spent less time in the hospital. More recent studies have shown similar results with scenes from nature and plants in hospital rooms. So this is just, it's not just like a feeling that we have anymore. They're literally proving this in studies. Furthermore, time in nature or viewing nature scenes increases our ability to pay attention. Because humans find nature inherently interesting, we can naturally focus on what we are experiencing out in nature. This also provides a respite for our overactive minds, refreshing us for new tasks. Nature connects. According to a series of field studies conducted by Kuo and Coe at the Human Environment Research Lab, time spent in nature connects us to each other and the larger world. Another study at the University of Illinois suggests that residents in Chicago public housing who had trees and green space around their building reported knowing more people, having stronger feelings of unity with neighbors, being more concerned with helping and supporting each other, and having stronger feelings of belonging than tenants in buildings without trees. In addition to this greater sense of community, they had a reduced risk of street crime, lower levels of violence and aggression between domestic partners, and a better capacity to cope with life's demands, especially the stresses of living in poverty. So we just reach a point here where we realize nature's super important. I mean, we're proving that it makes a big difference in people's lives, the connection. This experience of connection may be explained by studies that used MRIs to measure brain activity. When participants viewed nature scenes, the parts of the brain associated with empathy and love lit up. But when they viewed urban scenes, the parts of the brain associated with fear and anxiety were activated. It appears as though nature inspires feelings that connect us to each other and our environment, which shouldn't come as a shock to anybody because, like I said, we're all part of the same earth. We're all part of the same web of nature. So they did find out that too much time in front of screens is deadly. Nature deprivation, a lack of time in the natural world, largely due to hours spent in front of TV or computer screens, has been associated, unsurprisingly, with depression. More unexpected are studies by Weinstein and others that associate screen time with loss of empathy and lack of altruism. And the risks are even higher than depression and isolation. In 2011, a study was published in the Journal of the American College of Cardiology. Time in front of a screen was associated with a higher risk of death, and that was independent of physical activity. So this is really serious. The deprivation of people who don't have exposure to nature can really affect their health. From the Anxiety Center, they talk about a study published in Nature Scientific Reports, found that parks offered health benefits, including reduced risks of developing heart disease, stress, anxiety, and depression. They say if everyone visited their local parks for half an hour each week, there would be 7% fewer cases of depression and 9% fewer cases of high blood pressure. We've known for a long time that visiting parks is good for our health, but we are now beginning to establish exactly how much time we need to spend in parks to gain these benefits. We have specific evidence that we need regular visits of at least half an hour to ensure we get these benefits. We know that spending time in nature reduces stress, but until now it was unclear how much is enough, how often to do it, or even what kind of nature experience will benefit us, says Dr. Mary Carol Hunter, an associate professor at the University of Michigan and lead author of this research. Our study shows that for the greatest payoff in terms of efficiently lowering levels of the stress hormone cortisol, you should spend 20 to 30 minutes sitting or walking in a place that provides you with a sense of nature. Healthcare practitioners can use our results as an evidence-based rule of thumb on what to put in a nature pill prescription, says Hunter. It provides the first estimates of how nature experiences impact stress levels in the context of normal daily life. It breaks new ground by addressing some of the complexities of measuring an effective nature dose. I really like that it says you can sit in nature too. Like you don't always have to be exercising and moving, because sometimes that can raise cortisol too, especially if you're middle-aged. You have to be careful. You have to relax also, is all I'm saying. The data revealed that just a 20-minute nature experience was enough to significantly reduce cortisol levels. But if you spent a little more time immersed in a nature experience, 20 to 30 minutes sitting or walking, cortisol levels dropped at their greatest rate. After that, additional de-stressing benefits continue to add up, but at a slower rate. So spending time in nature is scientifically proven to reduce anxiety, depression, and stress hormone levels, which can be an important tool when working to overcome anxiety disorder and its symptoms. Since anxiety symptoms are symptoms of stress, and stress raises cortisol levels, thereby increasing symptoms, regularly spending time in nature can provide significant mental and physical health benefits, including reducing anxiety and its symptoms. Spending time in nature can be an important strategy for long-term good mental and physical health. So I just love that there's so much research. It's brain-backed science. It proves what we all kind of know intuitively, and it kind of proves what our grandmas knew, right? My grandma was always saying, get outside, get some fresh air, get some sunshine, run around, just be outside. And I remember how much I loved that, especially in her backyard, because she had rabbits in a little shed, and she had a beautiful cherry tree that we would climb. And I just remember really enjoying it and knowing in my heart that that was a good thing to do, but now we know why. So I just wanted to share that with you, and I am kind of obsessed with telling everybody to get outside, but it's super important, and now we know why. Some of the studies tell us why, and especially here at the Storied Human, we do focus on mental health pretty often, right? And now we know that being in nature can help that too. So there's no downside to being in nature. And thanks for listening, and I'll see you next time on The Storied Human.